Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. In this week's video we have a PlayStation 5 to repair. Now this is the disc edition PlayStation 5 and apparently it is locked in safe mode, so it can't boot up and it's stuck in safe mode. But apparently it's got a error code SU-101312-8, which is something to do with the optical drive. So let's get into this one. Let's open it up and take a look to see what's going on. Right, so taking off the case, oh, you can see straight away, right? So the power cable's missing and the actual power connector has been ripped off the motherboard there. So that's a reason why it would give us that error code, because the optical drive's getting no power. Right, so let's just quickly power it up first of all, just to make sure it gets a white light, right? Because it should still get a white light even if it goes into safe mode. Right, let's give it some power. Let's just check here for the light. Go blue lights, then it should eventually go to a white light, even without that power cable. Yeah, see, right, so it's powering up to white, which basically means that's powering to safe mode when it goes that quickly. So let's get this taken apart so we can get down to the motherboard, so we can fix the power connector. So dismantling the PS5 is pretty straightforward, just a load of screws to remove the black case, and then there's about 44 silver screws inside to remove this silver shield. By the way, if you do have a faulty PlayStation 5 or a faulty Xbox Series model console that you want to sell, please visit consoletherapy.co.uk. You'll get an instant quote for how much we will pay you for your faulty console. We will arrange collection and pay you within 24 hours. So with the motherboard out, right, we can get under the microscope and we can inspect the area of where the actual power for the optical drive connects to. Right, so under the microscope you've got, let me just quickly show you where we are. Right, so that's the fan connector, right, that's the Wi-Fi IC, and just here is the power for the optical drive. As you can see, the pads are broken right along here. Middle two pads, they're both ground, right, and then you've got a 12 volt and a 5 volt on the outside pins here. They're obviously also broken, and then these marks that you can see here, that's the actual pads that hold the connector to the motherboard, right? So it's like the holding pads, right, they're connected to ground as well, right? So they actually secure the connector to the motherboard itself, right? So we need to do something with those to replace those, and then also fix these actual pads, because we need both grounds, right? And we do need the 5 and the 12 volts as well. This one looks relatively straightforward. There's a couple of ways of doing this. You can just get some jumper wire and then solder the jumper wire to the remaining pads here, and then just extend it out like so for all 4 of them. You can do that way, or you can actually extend out the pads a little bit using some copper pads replacements that we've got here. So I'll probably try doing it that method because it's a little bit more secure than the jumper wire. Things to watch out for, right? This, as I say, these outer 2 pads are voltage pads. See this wire just here, it's really close by, that's going to be ground, right? So you want to make sure you're not bridging any solder across those 2 there, and the same for this side here. So when we put our pads on, we've got to make sure that it stays well clear of that wire, stays well clear of that wire there. These ones don't matter too much because they're ground, and those wires will be ground as well. They're all connected to this massive ground pad here. So just watch out for that. Again, that wire in the middle there, that's not too much of an issue because that is ground, right? So these 2 are ground. It's just this wire at the top here, and this pad, and this wire at the bottom here, and this pad as well. Make sure they keep well clear of those. Right, so we need to expose some of the copper off of these 4 pads around here, and then we need to expose a little bit of the copper just around these holding pads as well. just to give us something for our new replacement copper to bind to. Now, I use a little grinding tool. You can use a like a Stanley blade to do this, just scrape it off, but I just gently just scrape it off, this solder mask off, with a grinding tool that I've got. So just grinding away this solder mask over each pad. Like so, and then we're going to give ourselves a little bit of copper exposure over here as well. So just grinding away very gently, just to expose enough copper beyond the solder mask so we can actually see that copper. Right, so now you can see the copper here, right, which gives our new copper pad that we're going to install something to adhere to, right, or to solder to, right, as we come along with the new copper. So the copper I'm using is this. You can buy this all over the place, right? It's got adhesive on one side, but it is a pure copper tape. Obviously we're going to have to cut it all down, right? So let me prep that, and then I will remove the glue from the other side as well, and then I will show you how to prep this. What we need to do first of all is remove the glue from the copper tape. So I just use a soldering iron just to heat up the glue, then a little bit of IPA to remove it. And then we need to cut the tape down to size, right? So basically working out roughly what the size of the actual pad is on the motherboard, just sizing it out there, and then just cutting it down. And then what we're doing is we'll start to tin one side of the copper tape, just so it's nice and ready and easier to solder once you get it back on the motherboard. Can be a little bit tricky, right? So you do need a pair of tweezers, and you know, you really do need a magnifying glass for this. So getting it all in shape already, bit of flux, and then we come in with, as I say, a little bit of solder on one side of the copper tape and get it all ready to go back on the motherboard. Right, so that's our replacement copper pads prepared. Now we need to prepare the actual motherboard itself. So we're going to add a little bit of flux, and then we're going to literally just come in with our soldering iron and some solder, and the areas that we've exposed we are going to add some solder. Right, you might need a bigger tip soldering iron to do this because the board does soak up a lot of heat. Right, so each of them Right. All we're doing is giving a little bit of solder, and then one by one we'll come in with the pads that we just prepped, and we're going to roughly place them copper side up, because we only tinned one side, remember, you saw a moment ago. Okay, copper side up. This one got tinned both sides by the looks of it. Roughly copper side up anyhow. All the way along. And then all we're going to do, come along with our soldering iron and a little bit of solder. Let's give it just a tad more flux. Put it just in front of it so it's close by. Come in with a soldering iron and a solder, and just apply a little bit of heat to it. So this can be quite tricky, and you do need to be careful of the copper pads jumping across. Watch this one, here it goes, see, it jumps across, and I have to replace that a little bit later on. So it is best to use a pair of tweezers like I'm doing here, and then making sure that your replacement copper pads from the copper tape are held down with the tweezers on one side while you apply the heat with the soldering iron on the other side. And then just obviously going through, making sure it's a nice neat connection and making sure that there's no bridges. And this is me bringing in the replacement pad which jumped across to the other one earlier, and then making sure everything is nice and clean. You know, please do clean as you go. A little bit later on we're going to be applying some solder mask or some copper PCB mask to the area, so we need to make sure it's nice and clean. Right, that's all cleaned up now, and you see how much more substantial these pads are when you do it this way with some copper tape. A lot more substantial, right? You can do it with jumper wire, as I say, but I prefer to do it just with this copper tape. So it just gives it a bit more of a substantial place to hold the connector onto, right? So here's a replacement connector, and you can see how much more substantial that's going to be when we solder that in place, right? It's a lot better than using jumper wire. You can use jumper wire, there's nothing wrong with jumper wire at all, but it just makes it a little bit more solid. Right, but what we're going to do is just cover, just to make it complete, we're just going to cover the back end of these pads with some solder mask, right? So it's basically this area here, we'll cover up with some solder mask. We'll do that quickly. It's not essential that you add the PCB or solder mask to the area, but it does make the pads that you just added a little bit more secure and hold them in place for when you add the connector. Right, that's with the solder mask now in place. Let's just do a quick continuity test. So these outer two should beep because they're ground, the middle two should beep because they're ground, but these outer two shouldn't beep. Good, and just do a continuity of both across both of them. These middle two will beep. Yep, these outer two shouldn't beep. Good, so we've got no bridged pads at all. So one thing which is vitally important at this point is once we reconnect the power connector, we need to make sure that the 5V and 12V power supplies are connected. And as you can see to the left and to the right of the new copper pads that we've put in, you can see a little trace each side which carry the 12 and 5V. So what we need to do, come in with our grinding tool and just grind off a little bit of the copper mask or the PCB mask from those pads, and just to make sure that it makes a good connection with our new copper pads once we solder the connector in place. It will solder nicely to all those as well, right? So in with the replacement, and what I like to do first of all is just check the alignments, have a look at the alignments. Yeah, see that's a bit fiddly to get it on camera, right? But you see the legs align to the pads nicely. Yeah. All right, and then what we're going to do is just hold that in place. We're going to come in with a little bit of flux by one of the connectors at the back here. We're going to get a thick tipped soldering iron. We're going to push down on the connector, and then we're going to come in and add a bit of solder to each side of the connector. A little bit more solder to this side. There we go. Spin it around a little bit so it's easier to access. Same with this side. Push down and then bring in our solder. Go. So that bonds nicely. You see it's nice and solid. Keep spinning around, and then we're going to come in with a little bit of flux, and then on each leg we're going to push down and just bring in some solder. Let's get our soldering iron tinned, pushing down on the connector again, bring in some solder, like so, all the way along. Okay, just going to add a little bit more solder. On each of them, just to make sure. And the nice thing about doing it this way, again, compared to the jumper wire, is you can make it really solid by adding a load of solder to it. All right, let's give that a clean up. Right, so with that all cleaned up, quickly do another continuity test. Outside shouldn't beep, which they don't. Middle two should beep, which they do, and they're the grounding pads or the holding pads, right? And now just look, right? That is proper solid, right? So it's never going to go anywhere like that. So let's get everything put back together and give it a test. So putting it back together is basically the reverse of taking it apart, right? But we like to give everything a nice clean and make sure that the liquid metal is replaced properly, right? So as you can see, all the liquid metal going back on, spacing it out nicely so it makes good connection with the heatsink, and then back on with those rather annoying 44 silver screws to hold down the silver shield inside. And just connecting up the antennas, putting the optical drive back on, and then connecting everything back on again. Right, so that's everything put back together. Let's give it some power and let's connect it up to our capture card. Right, let's see what we get now. So power, we are getting a blue light and we got to a white light. Let's see if we get video outputs, and we do in safe mode. So let's connect to controller and let's simply do restart, right? So that should now restart the PS5, and then that should do, probably do a software update actually. There you go, software update. So I'll let you do its update, then I'll come back in a moment. Right, so there you go, that's now finished its software updates. Let's just go to the capture card. There we go. Let's quickly pop in a disk to see if it actually reads it. There we go, spinning up. Does it read the disk? 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Right, so that reads it and it ejects fine as well. There we go, ejecting. So there you go. Hope that video was useful. Just a quick one really to show you how to replace the power connector on an optical drive on a PlayStation 5 disc edition. As I say earlier on, if you do have a faulty PlayStation 5 or a faulty Xbox Series X model console that you want to sell, please visit consoletherapy.co.uk and we will buy that faulty console from you and make payment within 24 hours. So as I say, hope the video was useful. If it was, please consider giving us a thumbs up because it really does help us out. And please consider subscribing to the channel because that also helps us out a lot as well, and you'll be notified when I post a new video. Anyhow, thanks very much for watching this week. Hope you have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.